I want to start today with a visual. I'm looking at this graph from the research stack you sent, and honestly, the slope of the line it's kind of disturbing.
I think I know exactly which one you're looking at. Is it the one tracking muscle mass over a lifetime?
That's the one. It starts at age 30 and goes to 80. And it's not tracking wrinkles or gray hair or, your bank account. It's what's happening underneath.
Right. The vanishing act, as some
Yeah.
people call it.
That's one way to put it. I mean, the data shows that starting around age 30, which feels so young, by the way,
It is.
you're naturally losing about 1% of your muscle mass every single year.
And you compound that over decades, and by the time you hit 80, it's a debilitating loss. It's a real crisis.
A crisis most people don't even see coming, right?
Exactly. You don't realize it's happening until you, say, try to get out of a low chair and find you can't do it without using your arms. In the medical world, we call this sarcopenia.
Sarcopenia.
And for a long time, we just saw it as, an inevitable part of aging. You get old, you get weak.
But that's not the whole story.
Not at all. The sources we're digging into today suggest that while the process is natural, the speed and the severity, well, that's something we have a lot of control over.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're looking at the science of stopping and maybe even reversing that slide. And just to be clear up front, we aren't talking about spending 6 hours a day in the gym. This is about biochemistry. We're unpacking the research behind a formula called Sisel-RIPT.
Right, from Sisel-International. And the context here is really key. This deep dive is provided in the context of the LongLife-Academy.
So our lens isn't about bodybuilding.
Exactly. We're looking at longevity. We're asking how we can keep the machine, our body, running optimally for as long as possible.
And the person who's been tuning this machine, so to speak, is a guy named Dr. Robert R. Wolfe.
Who is, and this isn't an exaggeration, probably the world's leading authority on muscle metabolism. This man spent decades at the highest levels of government research just cracking this code.
Okay, let's start with the problem itself before we get to the solution. You mentioned sarcopenia. I think most people hear muscle loss and they just think vanity.
Oh, I won't look as good at the beach.
Yeah, right. But these medical reports, they paint a much darker picture.
It's so important to reframe how we think about muscle. It's not just the stuff that moves our bones around. In the longevity community, we often call it the organ of longevity.
The organ of longevity, why?
Because it's your body's main energy reserve. It's the furnace that controls your metabolism, your blood sugar. When you lose muscle, you're not just getting weaker. You are literally turning down the thermostat on your entire metabolic system.
The numbers in one of the reports were staggering. It said from age 40, we lose about 8% per decade.
And it gets worse.
After 70, it jumps to 15% a decade. I mean, that's not a slope, that's a cliff.
It is a very steep decline, and the end point of that decline is frailty. The link between muscle mass and, frankly, survival is incredibly tight.
The sources mentioned falls.
Yes, falls are a leading cause of hospital admissions for seniors, and a bad fall, a broken hip, for someone over 80. That can be the start of a decline they never recover from. And why do they fall?
Because the muscles aren't there to catch them.
The stabilizing muscles, the brakes, they've just withered away.
There was a story in the transcripts that really stuck with me. It wasn't about a person, it was about a dog.
The use it or lose it anecdote. Yes, that was powerful.
The speaker said their dog injured a nail and couldn't run for just 2 weeks. And even though it ate the same high-quality food, meat, vegetables, in 14 days of being sedentary, the dog just blew up like a balloon and lost all its muscle definition.
The perfect illustration. The body adapts to a lack of demand so quickly. We're exactly the same. Our muscle is this metabolic fire, and when we stop moving, that fire dims.
So it's not just about looking good. It's a life insurance policy.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's your life insurance policy against aging and immobility. Realizing that is step one.
Okay, so I want to renew my policy. The standard advice is always eat more protein.
Right.
Just eat a huge steak every night.
Or drink a gallon of milk, yeah.
But Dr. Wolfe's research says that for an aging population, that strategy is, well, it's fundamentally flawed. Why is that?
To get that, we have to talk about the mechanism. Let's use an analogy to keep it simple for, us non-biologists.
Please.
Imagine your muscle as a brick wall, and every day, stress and time are knocking bricks out of that wall. That's catabolism or breakdown.
And we need a construction crew to put new bricks in.
Exactly, that's synthesis. And the bricks are amino acids, protein, like a steak or a piece of chicken, is just a long, complicated chain of those amino acids.
So your body has to break it down first.
It has to act like a demolition crew. It has to smash that protein apart, digest it to get the individual bricks it can use.
And this is where the essential amino acids come in.
You got it. Your body can make some of its own bricks, but there are 9 specific ones, the essential amino acids, or EAs, that it absolutely cannot make. You have to get them from your diet.
And if you're missing even one,
The construction crew walks off the job. Building stops, period.
so back to the steak, it has the EAAs. Why doesn't it work for an 80-year-old the way it works for a 20-year-old?
This is the absolute core of the problem. It's something called anabolic resistance.
Okay.
Think of it like hearing loss, but for your muscles. When you're 20, your muscles are super sensitive. A little bit of protein whispers the signal to grow, and they hear it loud and clear.
And by 70.
By 70, your muscles are hard of hearing. They need a megaphone. You eat that steak, but your digestion is slower, it's less efficient.
So the amino acids just trickle in.
Exactly. The signal is too quiet. Your muscles don't get that spike. They need to start the rebuilding process. So you eat the protein, you get the calories, but you don't build the muscle.
That is so frustrating. You're doing the right thing, but your body isn't picking up the phone.
And this brings us to Dr. Robert R. Wolfe.
The architect of the solution.
This isn't some guy who just makes a supplement in his garage. He spent 9 years at Harvard Medical School. Okay. But more importantly, he spent over 20 years at the NIH, the National Institutes of Health.
And the sources said he had over $20 million in government research funding. That is a serious amount of money.
It is. And the government gave it to him because he was trying to solve a life or death problem. He wasn't trying to help bodybuilders get bigger biceps.
He was working with burn victims.
Burn victims, trauma patients, people whose bodies enter this hypercatabolic state. The body literally starts eating its own muscle tissue to survive. It's incredibly rapid and often deadly.
So his mission was to find a signal that was loud enough to stop that, even under that kind of extreme stress.
That is the great way to put it. And he found that the total amount of protein didn't matter as much as the ratio.
The ratio of those essential amino acids.
The specific ratio. If it's wrong, too much of one, not enough of another, the body just burns them for fuel, it oxidizes them, or worse, it breaks down other muscle to try and balance the equation.
So it's like trying to bake a cake. You can have 1,000 pounds of flour, but if you only have 1 egg, you're not making a cake.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Dr. Wolfe found the exact recipe that tells the body, we have all the ingredients, start building now.
Which leads us to the product, SiselRIPT. And I have to admit, when I looked at the packaging, I was confused. We're used to protein scoops the size of a shovel, 30, 40 grams.
Right, the huge tubs.
And SiselRIPT comes in these tiny little sachets. It's like 3.6 to 5 grams. My brain, which has been trained by marketing, just says, that's not enough.
I call it the 3.6 gram paradox.
Yeah.
And it is completely counterintuitive until you understand the difference between protein and free-form amino acids.
Okay, break that down. Free form means what?
Remember the demolition crew. With steak or whey protein, your body has to do all that work to break the protein bonds. It takes time, energy, and you lose a lot in the process. It's a digestion tax.
And free form.
Free-form amino acids are already broken down. They require zero digestion.
So they just bypass the whole stomach process?
Completely. They go through the stomach and hit the bloodstream almost instantly. This creates that megaphone effect we were talking about. Because they all arrive at once, the concentration spikes. That is the loud signal the aging muscle needs to wake up.
The notes mentioned a study comparing this tiny dose to a big dose of whey protein. The results were pretty lopsided.
It was one of the key studies. They compared 3.6 grams of this specific EAA blend to a much larger dose of whey.
Yeah.
And the result was a 3 times greater anabolic response from the EAA blend.
3 times the muscle building signal with a fraction of the stuff.
Yes. And a 3 times greater net gain of actual muscle protein. It proves that efficiency beats volume every time. You're not stressing your kidneys, you're not getting bloated, you are just flipping the switch.
Let's talk about that switch. The sources highlight one ingredient over and over, leucine.
Leucine is the general. In Sisel-RIPT, leucine makes up about 36 to 40% of the entire mix. That's very, very high.
Why so much leucine?
Because leucine is the only amino acid that directly activates something called the mTOR pathway.
mTOR.
Biologically, mTOR is the master switch for cell growth. You can have all the other amino acids floating around, but if mTOR is off, the factory is dark. Leucine is the one that walks in and flips the main breaker.
But I've seen leucine supplements. You can't just take leucine by itself.
You can't, and this is where the perfect ratio is everything. If leucine flips the switch and the factory lights come on, but there are no building materials, no isoleucine, no lysine, no velin, the factory shuts right back down.
So Sisel-RIPT provides the general and all the troops at the same time.
In a synchronized delivery, the leucine opens the door and the other 8 EAAs rush right in to do the building. It also has other smart ingredients, like citrulline for blood flow.
And maltodextrin. I paused at that one because you usually see people trying to avoid carbs.
It's there for a reason. It's functional. It helps replenish muscle energy, glycogen right away, but it also creates a small insulin spike.
And that's a good thing here.
It's a great thing. Insulin is the transport truck that carries the amino acids from the blood into the muscle cell. Without that little spike, the delivery is much slower. It's a complete system.
So we've got the science. Let's talk about who this is for. Because the name SiselRIPT sounds like it's for a 25-year-old superhero in training.
And it is for them, for sure. They love it. But the most profound benefits, especially in the LongLife-Academy context, are for the elderly and people recovering from injury.
So for the seniors we talked about, the ones who are anabolically resistant, does this actually work?
The studies are so encouraging. One showed that seniors, people over 60 who use this formula, had a muscle-building response that was comparable to young people.
So it's effectively bridging that metabolic age gap.
It is. It's giving them back a piece of their younger metabolism. And then there's the surgery data. The study on knee replacements was fascinating.
I saw that one. The long-term tracking is what got me.
Right. They gave patients these EAAs around the time of their surgery. 2 years later, 2 years. The patients who took the EAAs had 20 to 30% more muscle mass in that leg compared to the placebo group.
That's completely changing the entire trajectory of their recovery.
Think about it. After surgery, you're in bed. Atrophy, muscle loss, starts in days. If you can stop that while you're lying in the hospital, you start physical therapy from a much stronger position. You recover faster. You don't fall into that frailty trap.
Okay, there was another claim in the material. I'm going to call it the lazy benefit.
Uh-oh.
It suggested you can support muscle even without exercise. That sounds a little too good to be true.
It sounds like magic, but it's just biochemistry. Dr. Wolf's original work with burn victims proved it. Those patients weren't lifting weights in their hospital beds.
Right.
The formula stimulates synthesis even at rest. So yes, it helps preserve muscle even without exercise.
But there has to be a catch.
The catch is you're leaving so much on the table. Exercise plus SiselRIPT creates a synergy. The result is so much better if you move. But just knowing it's working to preserve muscle, when you can't move, you have the flu, you're injured, that's a huge safety net.
And just quickly, the other end of the spectrum, young people, the testimonial about the teenager.
The 48 kilogram to 73 kilogram transformation, yeah. For those hard gainers, this kind of efficiency is a game changer. Their metabolisms are so fast they just burn through normal food. This makes sure the building blocks actually get used for building.
So practically, how does someone use this? Are we talking about a big, messy blender?
No, that's the beauty of the small dose. That light powder, it's fruit punch flavored, sweetened with stevia. You just mix it with the water in a bottle. It's not a thick, heavy shake.
And the golden window. When's the best time?
Right after a workout. Immediately. When you finish a walk or a gym session or even gardening, your muscles are just screaming for repair materials.
So you drink it then?
You drink it then, and because there's no digestion time, those amino acids are flooding the muscle tissue right when it's ready to work.
And for the senior who isn't doing a formal workout?
Take it daily, maybe after their morning walk or just between meals. The goal is consistency. Keep the construction crew on the job site.
It really is a shift from counting calories to managing signals, hacking the body's communication network.
That's it. You're shifting from just eating food to actively fueling a process.
So the big takeaway for you listening today, if you're feeling a bit weaker, if it's harder to get out of the car, that path isn't set in stone.
It is not. Sarcopenia is natural, but the rate is totally modifiable. You have tools. You have the tool of movement. And now, thanks to this research, you have a biochemical tool to make sure every bit of effort you make actually pays off.
It's an efficiency multiplier for your health.
Perfect way to put it.
Now, for anyone who wants to verify this, because we always say do your own homework.
You should. Dr. Wolf's research is public. You can go to PubMed.gov, search his name, look up essential amino acids and muscle synthesis. This isn't hidden.
And since this is part of the LongLife-Academy?
Yes, the LongLife-Academy has qualified self-care advisors who can help. Because this isn't just about one supplement, It's about integrating it into a holistic plan movement, diet, sleep.
Because at the end of the day, it's still use it or lose it.
It always comes back to that.
I want to leave you with a final thought. We tend to accept that getting frail is just the price we pay for a long life. But if we have the technology to stop that muscle loss, what does that do to the definition of old?
It rewrites the entire dictionary.
If you can keep your strength and your balance and your metabolic fire at 80 the way it was at 50, then 80 isn't the end of the road. It's just another chapter.
It changes everything.
Thanks for deep diving with us. Check out the research, keep moving, and we will catch you on the next one.
Stay strong.